Well, the saga of the FBI raid as former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate has people across the country wondering what's going to happen next. The FBI says that they have seized highly classified documents. But did they? Joining me now to discuss is constitutional attorney and former legal counsel to President Trump and Newsmax contributor Jenna Ellis. Jenna, welcome back on this.
Great to see you, Carl.
Okay, let's break this craziness down. Right out of the gate, a lot of inconsistencies here with the Bureau standards from not presenting the warrant prior to the search upon request. They held it up as like 10 feet away from Christina Bobb, and they wouldn't give it to her. And then they had this very, very vague inventory. I actually have it right here. It says leather-bound box of documents, binder of photos, box labeled A1, miscellaneous secret documents, miscellaneous top secret documents, miscellaneous confidential documents, and then box labeled A40. There's a couple other things in there. It's not really that apparent what they took at this point. And also, the lawyers weren't allowed to witness the search. Why?
Yeah, well, clearly, I think it's because the CDC regulations didn't come out until after that, of course. And so they were probably still social distancing, 10 feet away, showing the warrant. Who knows at this point what their justification was. And I'm only kidding about that because, of course, the FBI is going to use any sort of excuse that they can possibly fathom to justify this. But one of the things that was most interesting to me, Carl, beyond the inventory, which, as you mentioned, is not specific, and why on earth would they need to take photos, go into Melania Trump's closet? Are there classified shoes involved? I don't know. But one of the things that we don't have is the affidavit. And that is really important. And there are reports saying that there may not have even been an affidavit in support of the warrant. And this, to me, is a clear violation of the Fourth Amendment, because when we look at the warrant itself, the broad scope of what this judge actually signed off on. Not only did it not particularly describe the documents that were to be seized, but the time period here was from January 20th, 2017 until January 20th of 2021, literally the entire span of President Trump's entire administration. And the Fourth Amendment requires, in order for people to be secure in their papers, their property, their persons and effects, so that we have a right against unreasonable and unlawful searches and seizures, the warrant has to particularly describe the place and the things to be seized. And I don't see that in this warrant. Yeah.
Well, that's in the Fourth Amendment. It says unless a warrant is issued herein, which is the problem here, is in the consistent policy over the course of ever in the United States is you have to have somebody swear to something. One agent or one source that was credible would have had to swear to the fact that they knew certain things were in a certain place at a certain time, and to justify a raid, that they would have to be there, they would have to be at risk of being destroyed or moved. So if there's no affidavit, what happens next?
Well, we don't know what the basis for the judge finding probable cause was, because that's also part of the Fourth Amendment, that no warrants shall issue but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation. And then it goes on to say, and particularly describing the place and the documents and all of those things. And so we don't know what the justification for probable cause here was. And what's interesting is that the DOJ is now also rejecting the Trump lawyers' request for a special master to be appointed and an independent reviewer of these documents. They don't want to give this over to someone independent. And that raises a lot of red flags and even more questions. This looks like it was just a political justification instead of probable cause. And that should scare every American when the FBI and the DOJ, who, let's be clear, over the last 6 years of all of this targeting of President Trump and the ridiculous, not even investigations of Hillary Clinton and Hunter Biden and the Biden crime family, this is all political. And this is something that no person who cares about the safety and security of the Constitution and our rights should tolerate.
Well, plus, one of the greatest political miscalculations of potentially our lifetimes. If they have found nothing, okay, which apparently, Jenna, you know as well as I, that if they had found anything, it would be on the front page of the Washington Post or the New York Times, but it's not, so they didn't. Also, how normal is it that they flew most of these agents down from D.C. to serve this warrant?
Yeah, there are so many red flags here and so many just interesting details like that we don't know the reason why. And we also don't know why they waited when the judge signed this warrant on August 5th, why they waited 3 days to then execute this warrant when their justification was that these documents may have been altered or they may be destroyed. And President Trump was 1,000 miles away in New York. I mean, none of this makes sense. And it looks like they only wanted a pretext to be able to go into Mar-a-Lago and search whatever they wanted in order to try to find something completely unrelated to the supposedly still classified documents. And President Trump disputes that. He says everything is declassified, but just to try to find something to get Trump, because we know that their outcome that they want and what they are targeting is that President Trump never takes office again. They want to make him unqualified to run in 2024, and that's not going to happen.
Yeah, well, the other issue, too, here is that there's a huge swath, I'd wager 50% of the Democratic Party, believes that Trump is guilty. They don't know of what, but of something. Like, he had to have done something wrong, and they are willing to wager any authority, they're willing to put any confidence from these public agencies on the line to make sure that they can prove what they have no idea about. Jenna Ellis, always a pleasure.
Great to see you, Carl.
All right.
J.P. Morgan's CEO is warning that an economic hurricane is coming. Are you preparing? If you don't do anything, your 401k could be a 201k, and that is not good. So call our trusted friends at Lear Capital. For 25 years, Lear has helped investors own gold to protect against market chaos. It's a good thing. They can help you, too. Get your information and up to $15,000 in bonus IRA gold. Just call this number, 800-880-4300. That's 800-880-4300.